Thanks for joining us here. Uh, we This is the last scheduled meeting for this year. We don't have any meetings scheduled for July or August. That's not to say we can't have them. It's just to say we haven't scheduled them so far. The One of the things for the Outdoor Ministries Institute that we do that you may or may not be aware of is that we track on all of these calls how many people log in so that when we report to our granting organization in the future, we can have that data. And we also like to know where you're logging in from. So if you could change your name to state what camp you're from, or at least what province you're from, your camp is from, which can be two different things if you're, let's say, Camp Shigabek, because you might be in Alberta, but your camp is in Saskatchewan. And so if you want to, if you can do that, it's easier for us to track on this end. And we are here on June 14th, if you can believe it, waiting for a summer that may happen for some and isn't happening for lots. So why don't we start by, if you don't know me, my name is Joe Richards, and I am the executive director at Pierce Williams United Church Christian Center in Fingal, Ontario. And so I want to go around and get an update from people about where their program is at for this summer, because we have a small enough group to do this quickly. We're not asking for the ins and outs. We're just, we need to sort of know what's going on. So Pierce Williams is not running this summer. We are hiring staff to do some programming and to get ready for summer of 2022. So Pierce Williams is still not running program based here in Ontario. So why don't we do this popcorn style? You say the next person, so you have to track who hasn't gone. So good luck to you. I'm going to go with Isabel from Kidston.
Yay, that makes it easy for me. There'll be so many people left when I'm finished. Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, you muted yourself, Isabel.
So sorry. Yeah, I'm from Camp Kidston in Nova Scotia, and we are a go as soon as we get to phase 3 of the reopening. We hope that will be within a couple weeks. We're quite positive about that. And we expect, fingers crossed, that we will be running with reduced numbers and cohorting, but running something approaching a normal program this summer. That could all change anytime, but for now it looks good. And I will pass on to my colleague Lori Purley at Weegaseegum.
Hi, Isabel. Hi, I'm Lori Purley. I'm in Chipman, New Brunswick, just 75 kilometers away from Fredericton. And we are going to have a very busy summer. We have 5 weeks with 3 to 6 year olds in a Little Rangers Ranch program that we have. And then the rest of the summer, August, will be overnight junior high and day camp and a mini camp. And we have a senior camp in September, and we're planning to go ahead. We've got things planned for whatever comes our way. Most of it's in August, so I think it'll be probably fairly good that way. And in between the camps and so on, we also have public swimming for our nearby communities. That's keeping us very busy this year. We also have 10 staff this year, so that's a big jump for us. Oh, I gotta move on. Okay. We'll go to Janice.
Hi, I'm Janice. I am currently the executive director of Camp Kidston, so the same camp as Isabel. And so Isabel has sort of explained our situation already, and so I will pass it on to Ken.
Thank you. Ken Clark, representing the Toronto United Church Council here in Ontario, where we own and have 4 camps right now. All of those camps, you may know them all: Camp Bay Canoes, Nebraska, Skugog, and Sparrow Lake. And all of those camps this year have made decisions that they will not have on-site or in-person camping. Tough decision by all the camps, but they are running virtual. Some are running virtual type programs. They've do have some staff on, limited as it is. Maximum, I think, will be 6 at any time. So they are working on some other programs directly and looking at some capital opportunities to improve the campsite ready for 2022. All are keen and excited about that. They are running some LIT and CIT programs directly. So we hope that at least the summer will not be wasted. But they are obviously cautious and concerned, just as they are with things happening directly within the province. So they've made that conscious decision directly. And I'll pass it over to Shane.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Or good evening, everybody. My name is Shane McDowell. I am the chair of the board at Kennesaw Camp on the north shore of Lake Erie in outside of Ridgetown, Ontario. So we are not running overnight camp like a lot of others. We will be doing some migrant worker, I believe. Dan can help with that, but so that's people coming into the country to work on the local farms. So we'll be housing them for a couple of weeks and then doing some kind of family cabin rentals with programming for the remainder of the summer and hopefully into the fall. We started that last fall in October, kind of leading up to Halloween. So we're gonna try that for the summer. And I will turn it over to Kathy.
We are not running in-person camping, and we're going to do virtual camping like we did last year. What we have is we're a little concerned about trying to use our site for if the family camps. Our neighbors, Kasota East, or related to, are going to try to do the family camp. But we feel that we'd be better off just to leave our site alone this year and maybe try to do some work on it. And I'm from Alberta, in case I didn't say that. Sorry. Okay. How about, where's Dan? Hi, Dan, go.
Well, good evening, Dan Richards, Executive Director at Kennesaw Camp. And Shane has shed the light on what we're doing. And yeah, so we're just going to do that, and we're focused on some capital improvements we need to make this year. I will pass it on to Tim.
Hi there. Yeah, so I'm at Five Oaks in Ontario. We have been doing migrant care for the last couple months, and we are gonna run some day camps this year. We haven't done overnight camps in years, so we're not worried about giving that a try. But we are planning to have day camps starting up in July, and we've also got a swim school that's using our pool, and they've got some groups that are coming in doing swimming lessons with kids, one-on-one. So there's actually like a decent amount of stuff happening at the Five Oaks site this year, which is nice to see. Oh, and I'm supposed to say, Steph, I'd love to hear from you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Steph. I use she, her pronouns, and I am with Rainbow Camp. We are located in Northern Ontario, but we don't actually own our site. And so transitioning to all online programming wasn't really a challenge for us necessarily. We did that last summer as well. And this year we're building on it with Rainbow Online Connection is the name of our virtual camp. So we have, like, we shorten it to rock. Like, our rock boxes are full of swag and activities needed for the camps. Each box has kind of like a bigger project that goes for the week long. So for our movement and music week, we're making like ukuleles by hand, and then they're going to learn to play them. And so it's not just like watching people do things. We're trying to really like get people actually a little bit away from their screen and doing stuff. And so this week we had some volunteers assembling the boxes, and we're going to then be sending them at the end of the week. And then halfway through the summer, we'll be sending the next lot. So it's such a bigger project than we expected because we're sending them to all over Canada and the States. But yeah, so we're very busy with that. Oh, and calling on someone, Jill.
Hi, I'm Jill. I'm Executive Director at Camp Kimokee, just outside of London, Ontario. We are lucky that we're within half an hour of a lot of urban areas, and so we have pivoted to a day camp this year. And hopefully, towards the end of the summer, we might do some family camping. We're also looking at doing some community programming. We're the only pool that is not a private residential pool in the area of Komoka. So we're hoping we can sort of let families book it in the evenings and have our lifeguards supervise. And then we're going to just try some other community programming in the evenings as well. So we've got a lot going on and it's all new. So it's a busy time. And I'll pass it on to Kylie.
Hi, I'm Kylie. I work for Lumsden Beach Camp in Saskatchewan. We did day camps last summer, and so we're sticking to that plan, except for our last senior teen camp of the summer. We're going to try that as an overnight, and yeah, going to see how we can figure that out. And I think Dallin.
Hi, yeah, it's Daylin. I'm with Mackenzie Camp in British Columbia, and we had hoped to do day camps once a week and then family weekends is how we planned. But due to our location, our family camps didn't fill up. So we let the staff go, and the staff have all got second jobs, but they're able to still work the day camps. So really what we're doing is one day of staff training, a day of CITs, and then 4 one-day day camps. So we're gonna at least get some kids out to camp. And who's left? Dave, I think at the bottom. Is he gone?
Hey, how's it going? My name is Dave Fletcher. I'm with Camp Shagebeck in Cypress Hills, Saskatchewan, and we're following the lead of Lumsden Beach last year with their day camps, and we're gonna try that. We launched that, got registration all done, got camps filled up, and then the government surprised us the next day by saying overnight camps are gonna be a go this summer, and everybody's like, what? Thanks for giving us heads up on that one. So we're a little taken back, and we're getting so many phone calls. Why aren't you doing overnight camps? Well, already got all our contracts signed, already got these camps filled up. So yeah, so we're a bit of a pickle there, just trying to deal with our families and just try to make people feel okay with the plan that we have going forward, and really hope that we're not turning away families or causing a grudge between our families and the camp. But the day camps, we're kind of excited about it. So we're doing two-day day camps at a time, and then running similar programs for the whole week. But yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. Last summer we didn't run, we just did online stuff, and it'll be nice to have at least kids there for part of the days. And but we scheduled our oldest kid camp from the ages 14 to 18. Normally at the beginning of the summer we have it, and it's our most popular camp. It's really successful. So we scheduled it for the very last camp, and I think that one we're going to make overnight and bring that one back. So that's what we're up to. Good to see everybody.
Good to see everyone. I think everyone but Ron. Did you have anything to say?
No, because Ken said it all. We both are TUCC, so Ken did a good job.
So essentially what I'm hearing is most of our camps aren't doing what is normal to us. That's where we're at. Some are trying full normal or as close to normal as possible. The question is, and Dave, you said it best, one of the confusions in Ontario is that our premier made an off-the-cuff announcement that camps were allowed to run, but hadn't warned anybody that this was going on. And I didn't get pushback from any parents about a decision we'd made not to run, which was great. But I do wonder if there's anything we as camps can do better to make sure people know how much planning goes into camp, and that it's not a month of planning for overnight. Or a day, right? You can't pull together a day camp in a month. And if you're on Summer Camp Pros on Facebook, you'll see a whole bunch of camps that are running, most of them stateside, are really struggling with finding staff, and staff quitting. And that just, when I was part of a discussion, I was like, to myself, I wouldn't post it on that group, but I was like, I'm so thankful that I'm not running camp, because I'm not worried about that aspect either. But this is one of the things that I wanted to get people's thoughts on tonight is, what do we need to do to be ready for the summer of 2022, right? Like, if you're not running camp this year and we didn't run camps last year, or you're doing something different, how are we going to set ourselves up for success? Do you think families are just going to pop back to camp in the summer of 2022 and that staff are going to come back? I'd love to hear some people's thoughts on that.
Well, I'll go. I think that staff is going to be our biggest challenge at Kenessary. I think they've all found other things, and some of them may have realized, whoa, there's a lot more freedom when we're not tied up at camp, for some of them. But I think that's going to be an issue. Families, I think there's going to be that 50 or 60% of your families who are just going to bounce right back, and then it's that other half or so that are going to either you'd have to find new families or do some selling to them to get them to return, because they may have found other things to do too, although it's not like the place is not in Ontario, we're not wide open yet, but I think the bigger issue will be staffing than families.
Maybe I'll jump in here. One of our biggest concerns was just the idea of the leadership program we have and the mentorship that happens. So most of our staff, we have 160 volunteers for the summer. And so the process of finding volunteers and training volunteers is obviously a huge job. And we rely so much on our 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds to mentor the younger ones. So we thought we might want to do fellowship camp or something at the end of the summer when maybe people are a little bit more comfortable with being around others and restrictions have lifted, where we can get back into doing some of that leadership work and building that mentorship and getting kids excited about the summer of 2022, because it's amazing. Like, after a year of not doing camps, I can't believe how much even I'm feeling a little bit foggy with how do we do things again. So if we go a full 2 years without having that type of leadership in place, I'm really worried about the continuation of a lot of the things we built over the last few decades.
Yeah, I think something that could be good for retaining staff and that sort of thing, or sort of picking up new staff would be just reaching out to the youth groups that are in the area and youth programs that already exist in the area that have also been struggling for the last couple of years, and finding Ontario has the hub within the United Church and a few other things like that. And just the next year can just be reaching out to so many of those places and hey, can I come to a youth night and just talk about how fun working at camp is? Because I know a lot of the staff that would have had in 2019 are now at that age where they're too old and they're trying to pay for university or something like that. So they're not going to be doing summer of 2019 and then summer of 2022.
We're finding something similar, and because of that, we're putting aside marketing money to recruit campers, which has never been an issue for us, but because we've only ever been a half summer of programming, summer 2022, we're going to do a full summer of programming, hopefully all overnight. And so we have extra space for campers. So we're trying to set aside money to market to get more kids. But also in terms of staff, I strategically tried to recruit ones from different levels of experience to work on our rock team, and then hopefully we have the funds to keep them on doing smaller jobs from home year round. And then with that, I'm still working with the board to like solidify our year-round budget and stuff, but I want to pay for them to get trained on specific things because it's already hard to find lifeguards and stuff. So if I can get the kids who are already committed to wanting to work for 2022 certified as lifeguards and get their, you know, their food and handlers and all of that kind of stuff ahead of time, then I at least can have like a core staff that are ready to go. So, that's my strategy anyway for now, I think. So that we have some people that are reliable.
We've also been talking a lot about what sorts of things we can run throughout the year, this coming year, to sort of retain and train staff who are coming in. And I know for us, at least in Nova Scotia as well, there's a lot of sort of untapped professional development grants right now, because all the sort of like usual conferences and things that people have been going to, no one has been doing that for, I guess, a year and a half, 2 years now. So that's definitely something worth looking into too.
I can pipe in directly regarding the 4 camps that we're looking at here in Ontario directly through TUCC. Some of our directors have said to us that, you know, the key over the last year has been communication and being in touch with and sharing some opportunities here. Some of the camps ran virtual touring last year, camp in a box sort of thing. Kept in touch, and they've also been running some family camps too, which has really opened up the opportunity. But I think their programs too have really facilitated some of the LIT program to ensure that they're, as mentioned, the training is there, and those that are stepping up into the levels that they need in leadership are still being worked on. So I think it's a real key that the camps keep the communication lines open, and especially with campers and families, and advise what's happening at camp and the fact that they're still doing things at camp and hope to be ready for 2022 in a real great way. So they're working hard, they're being innovative, they're being creative as best they can, and keeping the flow going basically as best they can.
We did a major restructuring of our staff this year just because we were going to day camp, which meant a smaller staff and people had to be able to multitask and able to have lots of support if there were cohorting issues and things like that. So it was creative. But right now I see a gap happening for next year when that leadership team a lot of them are going to age out after this year. And then I have the younger staff, but this year I don't have that middle pocket to move up into the leadership roles as much. So it's about trying to retain those senior staff for one more year and try and get one more year out of them while we develop the younger staff to take over after them. So that's the challenge. So I'm giving them as many enrichment opportunities as I can. And I'm also trying to be more present with them and check-ins, and even just saying, you know, if you can do something here that will help you with your career after university, then let's do that. If you want to be a researcher, researchers get funded by grants. You want to learn how to write some grants, we can help you learn that skill in a camp setting, but it's transferable and something more than you would normally get. So we're just trying to hang on to that senior staff one more year until we get kind of open the bottleneck again and get the staff moving up from younger positions.
It sounds like there are lots of things happening. We here at Pierce, we are focused, our staff is entirely focused on next summer, not this summer, creating content, new website, new videos that will be released throughout the year, right? Just creating things this summer that will help and will bring them closer to camp. The idea is that I've chosen to hire all younger staff with the idea that I will have them longer if I spend the time and money on them now. And because they're self-monitoring this summer with no kids to supervise, it's easier to hire younger staff in that setting because they're with us daily, but they're not. We don't need to have a senior person down there to guide them in the evenings so much. According to my plan, we'll see how it goes. So things can go totally awry, but nothing can be as bad as the last year and a half. So it's all good, right? It can't be as bad as the pandemic, so it's got to be better than that. Does anybody have anything else to say on where we're going, how we're getting there? I don't know where we're going. I don't know how we're getting anywhere. I want to talk about a couple of things for the Outdoor Ministries INsitute. I want to remind people that tomorrow we start a June education series. So these are free sessions that are put on it is paid for out of the OMI budget. And so tomorrow we have Canvas Arts Program leading LGBTQ2S+ inclusion at camp and a camp consent culture. And then Thursday we have Jim Kane doing physical distancing. The way we've set this education series up, if you haven't gotten those emails, I assume everyone on this call has seen those emails, but you can share those with anybody in your camp. If you have camp staff that you want to attend these, they can all attend. There's no issues. The only limit is the Canvas programs is 30 people per program, and when that happens, I'll cut off that registration, but we're still not close to that number. Then any camps that have signed up, the camp will get copies of Jim Kane's latest books, which are sitting on the boardroom table here at Pierce Williams, and I have yet to put into envelopes and mail out. I did hand deliver some to Kenneseri, but that was totally because it's on the way to my other house that I like. So the education series starts Tuesday, and it goes Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday. And each session is offered once at 2 p.m. and once at 7 p.m. 6 p.m. for the Canvas sessions because it's 2 hours, 7 p.m. for Jim Kane sessions because they are just an hour. So feel free to share. There's lots of space in those sessions. And the other thing, in the chat, if you guys can bring up your chat window and let me know, put in there what training you would like to see. If we put together like a September and October training virtually, what are the topics? This is the question. What are the topics that we need to put in front of you as camp people and board of directors and people who oversee camps that would help you? So is it this, or is it more strategic planning? So type those into chat now so everybody can see. Not all at once. We can do this. Look, Dan is holding up his books. He is just... If we don't know what you want, then we can't give you anything. Or I can give you anything, just anything that I come up with off the top of my head. The other part we need to talk about as United Church Camps is an in-person gathering. So long ago, which seems like forever ago, in November of 2019, a group of us went to North Carolina for the Great Gathering with the other denominations, and that was a very good event, very interesting. It was great to see Canadians there as a group. We are not 3 years out, so in the United Church's sense, they like to have us on the triannual budget of whatever the other two youth events, Youth Forum at the General Council and Rendezvous, is that the other one that they spend a ridiculous amount of money on? And then camping. So that's sort of the triannual schedule that we're on. Whether there will be money for camping at the United Church level is a wholly other question going forward, because we don't know. We do have in our own region, and I didn't fully understand it, but Shane, are you comfortable talking a little bit about what you emailed about earlier today?
Sure. It took me a while to understand it. So we sit in Antler River Watershed region, so we're Region 7 here in southwestern Ontario, and we had our, I don't know, I guess it's not really an annual meeting. I think we have 2 of them a year, but anyways, we elected commissioners to the General Council 44, I believe, which is happening in, I think it was supposed to happen this year actually, and it got postponed to next year, and it's going to be virtual. I guess our region made a commitment to send, to make sure some of the delegates that were going were, I guess, certain voices that they wanted to be heard. So there were things like children's ministry and youth ministry, racially marginalized, indigenous, things like that. And they had identified camping ministry as one of those voices. So we found out about it like an hour after the deadline, and it was kind of a show to get it going. But I ended up, thanks Dan, being elected the commissioner for Antler River Watershed. But I guess realizing that there were a lot of other voices, yeah, you can call me Commissioner McDowell from now on, or Commissioner Shane. So I realized there was a lot of other voices in the region that had something to share, and so I kind of immediately started thinking of how to get those voices together, and I think that would be fairly easy within Antler River Watershed, but I don't know if other regions have taken a similar path in electing people from camping ministry. So it was, is this something that we should kind of limit to Antler River Watershed, or kind of use the OMI to maybe set up some meetings and some calls later on to kind of get not necessarily unified voice, but make sure all our voices are being heard. So I guess if anyone doesn't know, the General Council is the triennial, the every 3-year meeting of the United Church, like the National United Church. So our region was able to send 13 delegates. Again, I don't know if that's population-wise or if everyone just sends 13. I guess I'd be interested in knowing if your regions have sent or elected a camping ministry person to represent them.
The first thing we'd have to know is, did people attend a meeting? And lots of camp people just ignore the meetings from region. Well, sorry, I cannot speak for all of you. I ignore a lot of those meeting invites because I'm lazy. I don't know if that's the case, or just very little seems to get done for camping. But this is great news, Shane, that Antler River put that forward.
Yeah, I thought it was great that we had that they were willing to put us out there, and at the deadline no one had applied, so really didn't want to let that one slip. So I assume, what is it, Western Ontario Waterways and Horseshoe Falls, which I don't know if anyone would be in there, but I assume they have done the same thing because our leadership is shared between the 3 regions. And I can probably find out some of that, but so maybe this is something, maybe in the spring, that we could bring some of the issues forward, and I have no idea what they are or if they apply to camp at all. Some of them probably won't, but maybe we can set that up or use one of the calls.
There were some people on this call who were on the, how do I explain that call? The United Church
Strategic Planning Forum, maybe?
Yeah, can you, does anybody who was on that call feel like they can talk about how they felt what it was and how they felt about it.
That was a whole week ago or more, wasn't it? I don't know. So the general council level of the church, so the general council office actually, so the national administrative office, is doing a strategic plan to govern their work, which then will trickle down through the regions and things. So they have been having meetings, town halls with all sorts of stakeholders. And one town hall they asked was for camps to come and talk with them. And they sort of presented three visions of the church, going from a very local vision to a collaborative approach that it was expansive to one that was more about really redefining the church as a unique entity, I guess, to simplify things. And then they asked us how we felt about each of those scenarios of strategy for the church. And then we just sort of had an open forum. And there was everything from excitement that the church was trying to head in a new direction to skepticism that we've heard this all before. And yeah, so it was interesting. I just don't know what's going to come of it. We had our voice. We asked to have our voice. And if we hadn't asked, I don't know if we would have had it. But because there was discussion and questions asked, they did arrange for us to have our voice. But we'll see what happens from there. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
Yes, I attended that. Yeah, go ahead, Kathy.
I was wondering who was there representing the camps.
It was. Raise your hand if you're actually on that call and you're sitting in this call. So that is part. And then we also had
Ben from the United Church.
Jim Beliveau from Camp Whitney was there, Kathy, and Lori from Pringle. Lori is a minister on Vancouver Island and helps at Pringle.
Pringle, Whitney, Kasota, Kimoki, Kidston, Kinnisary, Lumsden Beach. Someone from the Edge.
Yeah, Sherry was on the call, Kathy, from Kasota East. Yeah. Sherry Hansen.
Okay.
It was a good call. I was skeptical, and I don't think I said anything that anybody else wasn't thinking. If you've been around camping long enough in the United Church, you start to wonder what the meetings will produce, and part of it is that this is where the OMI was born out of. The idea that we as a group can help each other more than a single staff person sitting at national office can advocate and help us, because we no longer have any staff that I understand that are. We haven't had a staff who's dedicated to camping in years at the National Church. And right now it's really Bev Ogue, who is the duty of care, who is overseeing, sort of what we're doing. So it's fine to be skeptical in my mind, because a lot of our camps survive without the support from the church. I did state, and I'm not sure how other camps felt, but I did state that the change that they made to go from presbyteries to regions only further removed us from connection with our communities of worship, because we don't even have that monthly or bi-monthly meeting to get together with those churches and those interested. So, but in the same breath, COVID happened. COVID. Blame it all on COVID. So Anybody
I
else?
think it was also expressed just that camps were often felt to be an afterthought. So if we want to get our insurance was the easiest example. We want to get our insurance through the United Church program, but really the insurance is designed for churches and not for camps. So if you have a hub insurance policy, you will see that you have cemetery insurance as part of that policy. And, I don't think any camps have a cemetery. I know Joe has one across the street, you had a burial ground, didn't you?
Oh, I have one. I have a cemetery that I can throw a stone to on our property.
Yeah.
From the early 1800s.
Yeah. So, but if you're with the hub, you're insured for that, and that's just part of the package. You can't tailor it, or they say, well, what's the address of building number 1? And it's address A. And what about building number 2? Well, that's the same address. Well, how can that be? And because they're used to dealing with just churches. So it's a lot of things is people were saying, we just feel like we're just being accommodated under everyone else's programs and nothing individual to us.
Excellent. I was just getting a text from a Jamaican chef. I have Jamaicans arriving on site later this week, and we're trying to cook them Jamaican food. Good times. Good times. Yeah, so there are things happening in the church. I don't know how the rest of how everybody is feeling about in-person gatherings. I know that Vicky and I, as coordinators of OMI, have been invited down to North Carolina in November. I'm still not fully convinced that I want to be in North Carolina in November. I am committed to hosting a small in-person gathering at Pierce Williams, if that's allowed, in November for what we call Think Camp, which could very well be anybody's allowed to come. It's not a United Church or OMI event per se. It's a Pierce Williams contribution to the community. I was speaking earlier today. We recorded the last Camp Hacker podcast of the season, episode 150, and so we were talking about Think Camp and the idea that people have been apart for so long that how awesome would it be as camp people just to show up and talk about ideas for a little bit together. And so we're putting that together as an interesting experience. But I still don't know. How are people feeling about in-person gatherings in Canada this November with travel?
If it's in Canada, I'd be down with that.
Yeah, I think that might be doable. Airlines, I'm still a little nervous about, but road trips might be good.
I think regional areas, like, if we have, but Camp Canadian for sure, Canada-wide would be fine, but if we look at smaller groups, definitely the driving is much more, whatever, than flying.
That's a great point, Lori. Right? Like sort of trying to organize something on the East Coast, something in Ontario, something in the center of the country. No, that would be Manitoba, and nobody's here for that. Something in sort of the Saskatchewan, Alberta. But yeah, that's an interesting idea as well. Ron, thanks for coming. I can add you to my list now. Perfect. So in person in Canada seems to be safe. I don't know the more I read about America, the more they think they're doing super awesome, and I'm not sure that's the way that our scientists would say it to them, but I expect that everyone on this call would be double vaccinated if you're choosing to be vaccinated by November. So that's a good thing. The other thing that I had on my agenda to speak about was these calls. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do we want to continue to do these every month moving forward? Okay. We are going to take a break for July and August, just so that I don't need to see you all, and I can think about other things in my life. Yeah, Toes, it's you. I just don't want to see you anymore. No. And what will happen is I'll put out a new schedule for September through to June, and I think we'll just stick with, unless somebody has a huge objection, we'll stick with the second Monday of each month, and go from there. Because if you can't make the second Monday of each month, you're probably not on this call to tell me you can't make it. Good times. Yeah. Anybody have anything else?
Just a comment, Joe, for you and Vicky, is like, since I started coming on these calls, the group has grown. And some months there's very few, but in general, it just seems to be getting to be a slightly bigger group every month. So I think that shows that there is the desire, the need, and the appreciation for what the OMI is bringing to the table. So thank you.
You are welcome. I try my best.
I also have an idea, and I don't know, like with us, it's great that we network, but with my younger staff, and I'm sure a lot of you, like your staff teams are smaller than they ordinarily would be, but those are probably kids who are pretty committed to coming back. What if in the fall we had like a special kind of like call or event for them to idea share and debrief their summer experiences so that they can start forming camp connections, and kind of train each other and help an idea share, because that's something I've been trying to cultivate. Well, we're a younger camp, so I've been trying to get us on the map in terms of connections. And so starting to build that within our culture is something that's important to us. But if everybody else is interested, that would just make it easier. Just because also that would help us with staff development all around, so that when we come back, you know what I mean? At least we have some kids that are like ready. I don't know.
For sure. An idea like that, Steph, we can disseminate that to the mailing list for OMI if you want to put together the idea, and we can use the OMI Zoom account for that. For local camps in Ontario, it might also, one of the things we've been thinking about is the idea of when we're allowed to open back up, of doing youth retreats in the fall, more than we've done in the past, more so to start building community. And I wonder if you don't do that as a region, right? Just to say, so that we can get youth together, and do it as leadership training and getting ready for camp with. Yeah. Awesome.
There would be value in getting youths from different camps. Like I know, Joe, you've gone to see different camps. I've taken staff to see a few of the camps in the area in the past, and I saw that as a really positive thing, because we all have, a lot of us have our loyal group of staff that never see anything else but our camp, and so as soon as you open them up to other camps, they just realize, oh, there's like different ways, and sometimes they're better. So any opportunity for a staff to share and get to know what other camps are doing, I think makes us all richer.
Awesome. It is now 8:23. I like to respect your time. We have 7 minutes. Does anybody want to just stare at the screen for 7 minutes, or are we all good at this moment in time? We're going to do a 7-minute meditation. If you could all just close your eyes and wander through Joe's mind. I just want to say that it is the monthly call is something where we get to see people, which is great because and I love the fact that we as OMI were doing this before the pandemic started, because it gave me a head start in knowing how to do these things and go from there. There are a lot of, I think from my perspective, and chatting with other professionals in camping, there are a lot of challenges ahead for all of our camps still. No one is in the clear. I think that the next 3 to 5 summers are going to be challenging to get back to any numbers we had prior to 2020. And I think that we need to be open to a variety of ideas. I know that at Pierce we have a strategic planning grant through the Trillium Foundation, and our plan is to help disseminate any useful information outside of ourselves as well. We don't want any of that information to be proprietary to us. There will be things that are just for us simply due to site and location, but anything that will help us as camping moving forward, I think, is valuable. And I would ask that if your camps are having that ability to also share that information, if you want to write an article, or an article sounds like a lot. If you want to write 300 to 500 words about something that you think other camp professionals in this group would benefit from, and you want to send it out as part of our meeting invite or our newsletter, just email me, and we'll get that set up and go out. So and then I have taken a list of the suggestions from inclusive programming to brainstorming to marketing and digital media and grants and cultural humility and board visioning, strategic planning, restructuring. And I will take those into account moving forward, and we'll set up some programs for September, October, and November as well. So anybody else want to take up some time? Or are we all good?
So we are going to go ahead with Steph's idea, though. Like, can I start reining in a few youngins to be a part of this?
You know what, Dave and Steph, I'm going to leave you to coordinate that idea for the rest of the camps across Canada. Are you good with that? Yeah?
Yeah, I put Steph in charge.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I already started writing some ideas. I think that it's really important and exciting because, I mean, for instance, one of my now year-round staff members, he was an LIT digitally last year, and he was a camper for a long time before that. And so like he has been and wants to be a staff member. So he was like that perfect age. And I just keep thinking about how I want him involved in the bigger camp community. And I think like a kid like that, debriefing his experience and having a vision for how we want to rebuild our camp post-pandemic, because we can be anything after the pandemic, and idea sharing to make all of our camps stronger. I mean, what we bring to the table is like the whole LGBT inclusivity thing. So we can help and teach all of you to get better with that stuff. But we want to learn from you as well, you know? So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm happy to help plan.
I think, man, there's so many amazing things you could do with this, but just even the breakout rooms. Can you imagine just if you're just mixed up and you get with somebody from BC, somebody from Ontario, somebody from the Maritimes, and just for those young leaders to realize we're not alone. There's a whole community of us across the country, and just to share those great ideas and get excited about camp, I think that's brilliant. And it's something cheap we could do every year.
Yeah, and to get them excited again for their home camp, like almost like a homecoming, like, you know, they're sharing their fun experiences of their camps and getting each other excited again, and friendships, and I don't know. I just miss camp in real life, really.
You should come to my house sometimes when we have some of these young leaders showing up with my daughter. We've talked camp till 2 a.m. sometimes. So I know once you get them together and you get them from different camps and things, it's really fun to see what happens.
Yeah, it's all good energy.
That is awesome. And I think that's a great way to end this month. So thank you, everybody, for the work you do. If you are in need or have questions, feel free to email me directly during the summer or email. Remember, these people can be your support if you have questions and things you need to know. And we will go from there. So I will send out some information about Think Camp that we will host here at Pierce, but I'll also send out sort of a template of how Think Camp works because it's easy enough to put on anywhere in Canada. So it might be beneficial for people to see how it goes. Okay? Thanks, everybody.
That's great. Have a great summer, folks.